Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today for this deep dive.
Yeah, welcome.
We're really excited about this one.
Absolutely.
This is a personal reflection that we're going to be looking at.
Okay.
What's called Devotion, Rupture and Restoration. It's by Jeong.
Okay.
And Jeong had kind of a rough week.
Oh.
His wife, young Jae, had a pretty serious knee injury.
Oh, wow.
And on top of that, he was dealing with like a bug or something himself.
Oh, no. So they were both
So yeah, kind of a rough week for them.
tough. Yeah.
What's so interesting about this reflection is how Jeong takes this experience and sort of uses it to explore this idea of rupture
Okay.
on like a whole other level.
Yeah.
He connects this physical and emotional brokenness to spiritual healing. And so,
Interesting.
have you ever just felt like life just suddenly throws you
Oh, yeah.
for a loop and things are just totally
Absolutely.
chaotic?
Yeah.
That's kind of where,
Happens to all of us.
Jeong's coming from in this reflection.
Right. So,
Okay.
so tell me a little bit more about like the specifics of the injury.
Well, yeah, so he describes it as
Yeah.
he uses this word rupture
Okay.
very deliberately. And I think it's meant to really emphasize that feeling of like a complete tear.
Oh, wow.
Like their life just suddenly
It's like a
ripped apart,
yeah.
And
And a sudden change.
So young Jae, she had a ruptured ACL,
Wow.
MCL, a meniscus damage, and
Wow.
a microfracture.
Wow.
So like the Hulk chick.
Yeah. It was
The
not
bunny.
not good.
Yeah.
And so you can imagine, the impact
Yeah.
that this had on their lives,
Sure.
like just in terms of physical pain, but also,
Yeah.
just the disruption to their routine, the
Yeah.
stress,
Sure.
the uncertainty of like, how long is this going to take to heal,
Yeah. And to make things worse, he was also sick.
Yeah. And so then on top of all of that,
Jeong gets hit with this like illness too.
oh,
He talks about, fevers and coughing headaches.
mhm.
It's like his own body was mirroring this sense of like
Yeah,
disruption,
that's rough. So we're both going through it
Yeah.
in different ways, but definitely
Yeah.
a shared,
A shared experience of
yeah,
suffering.
I'm sure.
But in the midst of all of this,
Right.
Jeong talks about these like glimmers of hope
Okay.
that they experienced.
Mm.
And he really emphasizes the incredible support
Okay.
that they received from their church community.
Uh-huh.
People bringing them meals,
Yeah,
checking in on them, just being there for them.
that's great.
It's like those little acts of kindness,
Yeah,
became these reminders that they weren't alone.
exactly. And so it's like in the midst of all this brokenness and
Yeah.
pain and disruption, there's also these
Exactly.
signs of healing
Exactly.
and support and
Yeah.
love and care.
And it's like those acts of support
yeah,
become these tangible expressions
yeah,
of healing and connection
right.
in the midst of all this.
And it really like highlights that
Yeah.
need for community
Absolutely.
and how important it is
Yeah.
to have people around you.
Especially when you're going through tough.
Yeah, when you're struggling.
And this is where John's reflection
Okay.
takes this really interesting turn.
Okay.
He brings in John 3.16,
Okay.
which for folks who might not be familiar,
Yeah.
it's this really beautiful verse
Yeah.
about God's love for the world
Yeah.
and how he sent his son Jesus to offer us a way back to him.
Right.
It's like this ultimate
Yeah.
message of restoration.
Yeah, like that classic
Yeah.
verse everyone knows.
And what Jeong does that's so
Yeah.
interesting is he connects this verse to the concept of rupture.
Okay.
He's suggesting that these ruptures, whether they're physical or emotional or spiritual,
Yeah.
they weren't part of God's original plan for us.
Okay.
They came into the world through our own choices and our own
Right.
brokenness.
So it's like sin.
yeah, the
brings-
creating the separation between
Yeah.
us and God.
Yeah. So it's not that God created the world
Right.
broken, but that our choices.
Like we tore our own ACLs
Yeah.
spiritually,
And created that.
You know?
Separation.
and so we can't heal that kind of rupture
Right.
on our own.
We need help.
We need something more powerful to bridge that
Yeah.
gap.
Yeah.
And so for Jeong,
Yeah.
this is where Jesus comes in.
Right. So he's like
He's the bridge
Yeah.
that connects us back to God,
Yeah.
offering that healing and restoration
Yeah.
that we need.
That we so desperately need.
And what's so powerful is Jeong's
Mm-hmm.
reflection is he sees these ruptures not just as bad things that happen to us,
Right.
but as opportunities
Okay.
for a deeper connection with God.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's like those
Let's talk
ruptures
about-
expose our need for healing.
Yeah.
And it opens us up
Absolutely.
to receive God's grace in a way
I like that.
that we might not have
Yeah.
otherwise.
It's like that idea that
Yeah.
suffering can lead to growth.
Exactly.
And that sometimes you need to go through something difficult
To really appreciate
to really appreciate
the
it.
healing.
Yeah.
And this is where he draws a parallel
Yeah.
to Young Jay's
Right.
recovery.
Uh-huh.
It's not going to be instant.
Right.
It's going to take time. It's going to take effort.
Physical therapy.
It's going to take care.
Yeah.
He talked about the surgery,
Yeah.
the rehab,
Uh-huh.
the slow and deliberate process
Yeah.
of rebuilding strength and mobility.
Right. Yeah.
And he compares that to our spiritual journey.
Okay.
The effort
The work we have to
we need to put in.
yeah.
The reliance on something beyond ourselves
Mm-hmm.
to truly heal and be restored.
Exactly. And I think that's where faith comes in
Exactly.
for Jeong.
It's faith.
It's that belief that God is working
Yeah.
in and through our brokenness.
And that true healing,
Yeah.
that deep sense of restoration
Yeah.
doesn't come from our own efforts.
Right? It's not
But from
like
allowing God's grace
fixing ourselves.
to work in us.
Yeah. It's
And
about
this-
surrendering to that process
Surrendering
of being made whole.
to that process of
Yeah.
being made whole.
And it's something that we can't do on our own.
Yeah, it's a message of hope.
It really is.
Especially when life just throws
Throws those curveballs, yeah.
us those curveballs.
Yeah.
Even when things feel utterly broken,
Uh-huh.
when we feel that sense of rupture deep within us,
Yeah.
God's love is there, working to mend those broken places and restore us
I love that image of mending.
to wholeness. It's this reminder that even in the midst of hardship,
Yeah.
when things feel like they're falling apart,
Yeah, like there's always
there's this potential for healing
that potential
or restoration.
for restoration.
So as you think about
yeah.
the ruptures in your own life,
Yeah.
where do you see that potential?
Yeah.
What role might faith play in that
That's a good question for all of us to
process for you?
consider.
It's something worth pondering.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, this was a good one.
We'll see you next time.
See ya.